Hello, and welcome to our continued webinar series on helping the federal workforce. This is called Career Uncertainty, and my guest today is Corliss Jackson. To introduce myself, I'm a certified financial planner with Wealth Enhancement, 24 years in the industry, and the author of Total Compensation, a practical guide to federal employee benefits. Today's guest, Corliss Jackson, is the founder of Federal Job Results. She has been featured in Washington Post's weekly Federal Jobs column, and is a former Director of Human Resources and Director of Administration at the U.S. Election Assistance Commission, as well as a former Special Assistant and Program Manager at the U.S. Office of Personnel Management. So, Corliss, good to see you again. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Brian. Glad to be here.
Right. So you've helped many people land government jobs over the years and also transition away from the government as they move into the private sector, which I can imagine the latter is more of a theme at the moment. What are you seeing as concerns and goals with your clients right now?
Yeah, first of all, losing any job is stressful, but in this particularly politically charged environment, it is excruciatingly painful and stressful and causes a lot of anxiety for folks. And, a lot of people just want to know, what am I going to do next? And, you can look at this a couple different ways, and it does bring people down a lot. But if you can look at some opportunities and some maybe change in what could happen next in your career, it could be great. But a lot of people want to know, what do my skills transfer into in another career, in another job, in another organization or another sector? And that's really what transferable skills are, what makes us marketable or not. And a lot of federal government employees have a ton of transferable skills.
That's good. It's good. Excellent. So you used to work for the federal government yourself and have a lot of clients who got these jobs that are now in some cases going away. Can you talk about the process of a job termination or a reduction in force, how it's supposed to work versus how it's working currently?
Yeah, Brian. So in a typical government environment, nothing is typical. So there's policies and procedures for everything. And, I've been involved in a separation where, we've done significant planning, we've trained people, and there's somebody there to take on a new position, and it's very seamless. And that's absolutely the best possible scenario. But I've also been involved in separations where, the person was not aware that something was going to happen, and we had to call security, and it was, not a pleasant experience. I think, the bottom line is that there's so many different things going on right now, and nobody knows who to listen to. So supervisors are saying one thing, agency heads are saying another, the White House is saying something else, and it's really difficult to figure out what you should or shouldn't be doing. And I don't really have any answers that might sound really plausible to people right now, because there's nothing that's going on that's really typical right now. The only thing I can say is that for probationary employees, they do not have, the rights that non-probationary employees have. So they do, the government can separate you without cause during your probationary period. And the probationary periods differ depending on your appointment. So that is one thing that, they're taking advantage of in terms of reducing the workforce. But the other kinds of things that are going on are not typical, and I have not seen this. It's very unprecedented, so I haven't seen it before, and I can't really tell you what the legal precedent is for it or the regulations. So it's just a very different scenario going on right now I have not seen before.
So focusing on what people can control, if someone's watching this and they're considering their job prospects for any reason, even if they remain currently employed with the federal government, what are some actions they should take right now?
Yeah, so first and foremost, Brian, I would say that self-care is key. When you get in the airplane, put your mask on before everybody else. You can't figure out what's going on. You can't have a clear brain in terms of what to do and how to do it if you're not taking care of yourself. So that has to be first and foremost. Secondly, I think that being prepared is really the ultimate way to combat anything that you're dealing with right now. So when I say being prepared, I mean having a daily schedule of what you're going to do, get up at the same time each day, have a regimen in terms of your career transition plan, whatever that looks like. Make sure you're getting exercise, make sure you're eating, make sure you're communicating. Having a community is huge. But secondly, you have to have a plan of action specifically for your career. So what is it that you're going to be thinking about? What are you going to be researching? What opportunities might come as you're going through that research, and how can you go down that path of having a roadmap of what to do next, right? So may not be as easy as, I'm going to look for another, I was doing A and now I'm going to look for a job doing B. It might be that, C or D might be an option right now, and it might be a soft landing for me, but then I might decide that I want to go to E and do something totally different. I might go back to school, or I might decide to get certified in something that's totally outside of the realm of what I'd ever thought of before. So having that action plan is definitely key. And then third, having marketing tools, right, at your fingertips. So having that resume ready, you're at the, school play with somebody, another parent, and they say, oh, we have this opportunity and it's right up your alley. Having that resume at the ready so that they can, be on your side and they can help you navigate through the process a little bit. Networking is key. And I will tell you that there's nothing that you can do better for yourself than to network. So those relationships matter. Most people will find their next career stint, if you will, through a relationship with somebody, not necessarily getting on Indeed or Monster or any of those job search techniques. It's definitely going to be networking and relationships.
Mm-hmm. Well, one of the common places that a career might continue would be with a government contractor. I would imagine that's a theme I see, and I bet you do too. So what's unique about going to work for a government contractor after leaving the federal government?
So a couple things are really great about that. So one of the things that happens is that the government, and this happens with all administration changes, the government will either hire more people internally or they'll hire more contractors. So it's a shift, right? So when one party is in office, there's going to be more on this side and fewer on this side, and vice versa. But one of the things that happens is that government contractors are seeking the federal government employee skill set. And when you have that skill set, that makes you extremely marketable for government contractors. Now, one of the things that's a little bit different is the process for getting into that government contractor as an employee will differ because the process is different, the resume is very different, and networking is really, really key. On the federal side, it's less important to network, but you really have to remember the three N's: network, network, network. But yeah, government contracting is definitely something that if you're in the government and you have those skill set, you should look at pretty aggressively.
Another theme I'm seeing is someone will be concerned about their job security through the federal workforce, or have left the federal workforce and were mapping out their future, building their retirement model. And it seems like things look pretty well, but they don't mind working or want to work, but they don't necessarily want to work full time, right? Part-time sounds like the best of both worlds. So can you talk about identifying part-time jobs or anything that's unique about part-time work?
Yeah, definitely. So a lot of people, and I will speak from experience at my age, will look at something that may better fit their lifestyle, their time. Some people may not want, for example, to commute as far or as long. And so one of the opportunities that can avail themselves might be working as a consultant. And that could be a model where instead of you working, a 40-hour work week as a W-2 employee, you may work as a consultant as a 1099, which is a different type of employment, but you could work in multiple realms. So you might, work 20 hours a week for one employer and then 20 hours a week for another, or any combination, right? So it's a different way of working, but it still would allow you to have some kind of income. And it's not salaried, so usually it's either by project or by hour, but it's a different way of utilizing your skill set and leveraging that skill set for income purposes. So, it's definitely a possibility. Now, if you hear the term consultant, it could mean that you're a full-time consultant for an organization or an employer, but you could also work as a consultant on a part-time basis under that W-9 model or the 1099 model.
Okay, makes sense. So what industries are you seeing having an easier time transition away from the federal workforce if those folks need to or want to? Because I would imagine there's an agency within the federal government that represents pretty much every industry.
Yeah, so definitely technology. And we see, we're seeing a surge in the AI, the cybersecurity, the cloud computing, but also avenues like healthcare, sustainable energy. Education is big right now, as well as finance and accounting. So, the accountability is huge. Also, construction and the skilled trades. So builders, things like that are really probably the top 6 or so that we've seen. But you have to remember that the federal government, because it's so vast and there's so many different types of jobs in it, there are a ton of transferable skills that you as a federal employee will bring to another employer. So don't discount those transferable skills, even if they're not in those particular categories. The transferable skills that you bring are huge, really, really big.
That's good. That's good. All right. Well, appreciate your time. Lots of very helpful information. If people want to reach out to you, how should they do that? And what should they expect from that conversation?
Absolutely, Brian. So we've been around for quite some time, and we do offer individuals the opportunity to assess and figure out where they are, as well as where they want to be in the future. And then we help with every step throughout that process. So resume, LinkedIn, interview prep. You definitely want to make sure you're prepared for interviews. And that's one of the biggest pitfalls that we find that most people have, is that they don't like to interview. So we prepare you for that interview. Fed Job Results is the best place to reach us. Info@Fed Job Results is an email address, or you can just go to Fed Job Results and visit us, obviously, on all the social media platforms, fedjobresults.com.
Fantastic. And I'll mention at the end, if you are in the federal workforce or concerned about your career, or just want to visualize your future from a retirement planning perspective, we can also help. Give us an email or a call, and we'll do that. There's no charge to talk. So thanks very much, and we'll be back with another interview shortly. Thanks very much, Corliss.
Thank you, Brian. Take care.